Hi, welcome to Mondays with Michelle, a sanctuary where we unite to inspire hope and peace through engaging discussions about mental health, relationships, and parenting. I'm Michelle, your guide through the sanctuary. I'm a mental health therapist with over 14 years of experience, an aspiring author currently querying agents, a peacemaker, and an advocate for those without a voice. Today, we will discuss reflection, including the people, places, and moments you are grateful for this year. We'll start with a card. So, the card I chose today is from the Letting Go deck by David R. Hawkins, MD and PhD. The card is: once the experience of peace has occurred, we are no longer a victim of the world. And there's more on the back. With continual surrender, we begin to experience these states of peace with ever increasing frequency. When the clouds are removed, the sun shines forth, and we discover that peace was the truth all along. Surrender is the mechanism that uncovers the true nature of our existence. So, a lot said in one card. It's very fitting to the podcast and my Substack page as a whole. Hope Peace Together. Part of that is obviously peace. It's something that I desire to bring more of to our world. So I agree that once we experience peace, we let go of our victimhood in the world. We recognize that the world is what the world is, and we can share more love, compassion, and put more positive energy as a whole out into the world rather than focusing on everything that's wrong. We focus on what we can do differently. And I do agree as well that finding a state of inner peace absolutely involves letting go and surrendering to the world. The more that we can surrender the hurt, pain, desire to control our circumstances, the more that state of inner peace arises. So I thought that was a wonderful card for our episode today. Today's session is going to be a different format. As a heads up, we're going to be practicing what's known as reflective journaling together. So basically, if you want to pause and go get your journal and bring it in, that could be really helpful. You can also listen to the questions and maybe meditate on them if you don't have your journal nearby. And then the questions that I ask are listed in the material of the episode. So you can always come back and journal about the questions later. So whatever you want to do, I'm going to be reading some snippets from a book and then sharing the questions with you. And I'll set a timer for 5 minutes. So each section, and there's 3 of them, we'll get 5 minutes for each section to journal. And then we'll finish talking about the activity for the week, our weekly reflection, and wrap up. All right, so to get started, I am going to, this book has seen better days, but it's a wonderful book. So I'm going to read a little bit about reflective journaling from the book Quiet Mind, Open Heart, and that is by Laura Wright. If I could order a new book, I absolutely would. Because like I said, this has seen better days, but it's wonderful. I haven't found another book like this. So I will keep it and just try to nurture it the best that I can. All right. So she says, Rarely do we wake up one day and find noble meaning handed to us on a silver platter. It usually comes about through thoughtful reflection on our personal circumstances. If we want greater purpose in our lives, we need to spend contemplative time with greater subjects. Uplifting and sustaining subjects, such as responsible action, ethical conduct, loving kindness, and equanimity. Through journaling, we can reflect on such topics, learn to sidestep our routine mental pathways, and make room for our innate wisdom to surface. However, it is only by calming the maelstroms of our mind that we can tap into our more refined faculties. We open to this territory beyond the habitual by taking the time to reflect, write, and pause, and so become more and more acquainted with the quiet space inside. What is reflective journaling? Reflective journaling is an open ended process that includes, but is not limited to, these categories: getting our stories out, creating skillful intentions, contemplating spiritual topics, working with difficult emotions, connecting to the light within, and living in harmony with life through reflection on topics such as kindness, patience, and forgiveness. Topics you generally don't read about in the Sunday paper. You can discover a fuller, more expansive, and more dynamic way of being. It is possible to live life with presence, peace, and compassion, and reflective journaling provides skillful means for nurturing these beautiful qualities of the heart and mind. All right, so that is what we are doing and building upon during our time together today. So we'll start with the category of reflection. I guess first I'll just share a little bit of how this idea came about. A couple of weeks ago, it was my birthday. And birthdays are typically a time of reflection. You're 1 year older, another year wiser, and it's time to reflect on how that year went. What did you enjoy about the year? And then also, what do you want to focus on in the coming year to continue to grow and develop as a human? So, on that note, I began reflecting on my year, and through that reflective process, I found questions that I asked myself and things that I reflected on, and I'm sharing those with you today. So, the reflections section, we'll start with the question: how would you summarize your year in one sentence? For example, I summarized my year by saying, this year has been a time of change and transition, with some chapters closing while others eagerly open. So, how would you summarize your year in one sentence? So far, there's still about 2 months left of 2025. But so far, we've made it through 10 months, essentially, of 2025. So, how would you summarize your year so far in one sentence? When one door closes, another opens. What ended for you this year? What new beginning did you experience? How did you feel during these transitions? Reflecting on the past year invites a pause to consider the people, places, and moments that evoke a sense of appreciation for their roles in our journey. Who were the main characters in your life this year? Where did you reside or travel? What were your favorite moments? So, again, your questions are: how would you summarize your year in one sentence? What ended for you this year? What new beginning did you experience? How did you feel during these transitions? Who were the main characters in your life this year? Where did you reside or travel, or both? What were your favorite moments? And if you want to pull out your journal, I will set the timer for 5 minutes for you to be able to reflect and journal on those questions. Okay. So we'll go ahead and move on. Feel free to pause if you want to continue reflecting on those questions from reflection. Otherwise, if you had more you wanted to write, you can come back to it later as well. The next category is on gratitude. So, considering the things that we're grateful for this year. And I'm going to start by reading an excerpt this time from Attitudes of Gratitude: How to Give and Receive Joy Every Day of Your Life. Let gratitude flow naturally. One's destination is never a place, but rather a new way of looking at things. That's a quote by Henry Miller. Nothing destroys a sense of gratitude faster than being told we should feel grateful. Some shoulds are necessary. In teaching manners to children, children learn not only by example, but by pairing instruction to example. But when we try to experience gratitude as a living force in our lives, guilt, whether imposed by others or by ourselves, is deadly. We've probably all had someone in our lives tell us we should be grateful for something, or perhaps we say it to ourselves. Either way, this is the least likely way to promote an attitude of gratitude. As far as I can tell, gratitude is generated in two ways. One, by a spontaneous upswelling of the heart toward the wonder of life and all its particulars, and two, by a conscious decision to practice looking at what's right in our lives rather than focusing on what's missing. Either way, we don't get to gratitude by guilt trips. Guilt is a terrible motivator. It makes us want to run away from whatever is making us feel bad and to avoid looking at whatever is underlying it. I say this because I don't want you, after reading this book, to go away thinking you should feel grateful. I want to encourage us all to open our hearts and experience gratitude as much as we can. But I know for myself that there are days when it is impossible for me to feel thankful for anything, no matter how hard I try. And if it's true for you sometimes, be gentle with yourself. The more you allow what is true for you to be true, and the less you should yourself, the more space you create for the possibility of gratitude to quietly, softly enter your heart. I wanted to read that one because I want to make sure there's no pressure on us in this reflection. If 2025 has been an incredibly challenging year for you and you can't think of anything today to be grateful for, that's fine. Just spend this 5 minutes reflecting on whatever arises for you, maybe even how you don't like gratitude and you don't want to be grateful. Just whatever comes is fine and is perfect for you where you are today. So that said, delving into gratitude. Gratitude lies in the act of recognizing and appreciating the wonders that surround us, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Our questions here are: who are you grateful for this year? What aspects of nature evoke a sense of appreciation? How did you express your appreciation to them? And then gratitude, we can be grateful for connections with people, places, and things. What new people have arrived in your life? What new places did you visit? Did you return to any familiar places? What major purchases did you make this year, if any? What value do those items bring to your life? Then we have personal traits. I am genuinely grateful for the flexibility to pivot, is an example of gratitude for traits within ourselves. Like essentially being grateful for ourselves and what we offer to the world, the strengths that we have. So, what personal traits or qualities are you grateful for in your life? What brought you a sense of peace and tranquility? What wishes do you have for a world? And I gave the example, I hold firmly onto the belief that one day peace and love will prevail. So, what wishes do you have for a world moving forward? What skills did you rely on this year? Or what skills did you develop? Maybe you went to a training, maybe you read some personality or some personal development sort of books. Maybe you did explore your personality a little bit. Maybe you did a strengths finder test. Whatever you did, just kind of reflect on what skills within you that you relied on this year, or what skills did you develop. All right, so before I set the timer, the questions again for today are: who are you grateful for this year? What aspects of nature evoke a sense of appreciation? How did you express your appreciation to them? What new people have arrived in your life? What new places did you visit? Did you return to any familiar places? What major purchases did you make this year, if any? What value do those items bring to your life? What personal traits or qualities are you grateful for in your life? What brought you a sense of peace and tranquility? What wishes do you have for our world? And what skills did you rely on this year, or what skills did you develop? All right, go ahead and pull out your journals or spend this time in quiet, silent meditation, reflecting on the questions. Okay, again, feel free to pause the video if you'd like to, or come back to it later. So, our last section is on nature and wisdom. Our excerpt from today comes from Upstream by Mary Oliver, Selected Essays, and this is an excerpt from her essay, Staying Alive. I believe everything has a soul. Adults can change their circumstances. Children cannot. Children are powerless, and in difficult situations, they are the victims of every sorrow and mischance and rage around them. For children feel all of these things, but without any of the ability that adults have to change them. Whatever can take a child beyond such circumstances, therefore, is an alleviation and a blessing. I quickly found for myself two such blessings: the natural world and the world of writing, literature. These were the gates through which I vanished from a difficult place. In the first of these, the natural world, I felt at ease. Nature was full of beauty and interest and mystery, also good and bad luck, but never misuse. The second world, the world of literature, offered me, besides the pleasures of form, the sustentation of empathy, the first step of what Keats called negative capability, and I ran for it. I relaxed in it. I stood willingly and gladly in the characters of everything: other people, trees, clouds. And this is what I learned: that the world's otherness is antidote to confusion. Now, standing within this otherness, the beauty and the mystery of the world, out in the fields or deep inside books, can redignify the worst stung heart. Thought that was beautiful, as our third topic is talking about nature and wisdom. Wisdom, or nature, and literature, as like we're doing with reflective journaling, are ways to heal our heart. So, our questions from nature and wisdom to reflect on are: how did you enjoy the marvels of nature this year? Who shared words of wisdom with you? Did you accept these words, or did you follow your own path? When did you listen to your intuition? Who were the leaders in your life this year? How were you a leader? Okay, and again, I will set the timer for 5 minutes where we can either spend time journaling or engaging in some reflective meditation on those questions to repeat them. How did you enjoy the marvels of nature this year? Who shared words of wisdom with you? Did you accept those words, or did you follow your own path? When did you listen to your intuition? Who were the leaders in your life this year? How were you a leader? All right, and I'll go ahead and start the timer.